Hola Media is a mobility media company based out of Mexico City. We have a network of interactive touchscreens in the backseat of rideshare vehicles. And just before getting started and getting you into the actual nitty-gritty of the product and everything we do in the day-to-day, I'd love to sort of discuss a little bit of the evolution of the advertising industry over time. If we look at over the years what type of products and formats have been introduced into the landscape, they have one common denominator, and that common denominator is trying to find those new innovative touch points where millions of individuals gather. We've seen that over time with radio, with TV, with out-of-home advertising, and obviously into a far more digital presence like where we are today. Search engines, social media. We first understand that we have millions of individuals using these tools and gathering in these environments, both physical and digital. And then as a natural way of connecting with them, the industry, the advertising industry finds new ways of contacting them there. We eventually, we took a decision to look at the overall landscape, sort of the evolution of society, and saw in mobility a very unique opportunity. Mobility media, in our eyes, is the next frontier in advertising, where we're in essence trying to take advantage of all media assets within the vehicle. We did begin at one point with only interactive touchscreens in the backseat of Uber vehicles. Understanding that today, at least in the region, we have a growth of over 250% in the last 4 years approximately. 5 of every 10 Mexicans with access to internet are using these rideshare platforms on a week-to-week basis. So since reactivating post-pandemic in 2022, the reality is sort of our reactivation completely at that point, finding new drivers, etc. When our first dollar went in the door. Today we have a network of just under 4,000 vehicles operating through 6 different markets in Mexico, Mexico City, Guadalajara, Monterrey. Those are 3 markets really important for us because those are 3 host cities for the World Cup. We'll get into that in a little bit later, and as well as other 3 important cities within the country. Within revenue, we're going to hit north of $4 million this year, almost break even by the end of the year. And we have established commercial relationships with Big 6 agencies. So these are Big 6 multinational agencies, managing the budgets for the majority of these blue chip Fortune 500 brands that we see on the day-to-day. And then these are the different formats that we've looked to expand to. As you will see on the left side is the in-car tablet that we started out with. And naturally we started figuring out there were new or more opportunities inside the vehicle and outside the vehicle as well. We have a new format called car wrapping, which is the vinyl branding of a vehicle outside. Each vehicle sees approximately 700,000 unique impacts on a month-to-month basis. These 2 formats alone allowed us to do the following. A, with the in-car tablet, improve engagement with the consumer. It's a very personalized product at that point. But then also we have that mass reach that most brands are always looking for. How can one format get in the eyes of millions of individuals? Even the car wrapping maintains an important digital DNA component. Each vehicles, after the post-buy report comes in, we do actually develop and we give in lists of device IDs. So in this campaign in particular, Axe deodorant from Unilever, they get a list of device IDs that they can then reintegrate into a Meta, for example, and activate into their mobile phones. We've also stemmed into in-car sampling, so be it sodas, perfumes, L'Oreal, creams, non-alcoholic beer, and also, for example, Tylenol pills and that kind of thing. We're able to actually sample within each vehicle. Essentially, the driver becomes an ambassador of the brand. So there's a particular slogan or a particular granularity into giving these samples only to the athletes that are coming after the gym, an electrolyte product, or a consumer that's, it's really hot and they want a refreshment. They can target that sampling essentially to those clients. And last but not least, our most recent product is the in-brand, in-car experiential campaigns. So that image there is basically turning that vehicle into mini soccer stadium. We have a campaign running next month for Glade. So Glade has new aromas during the Christmas time. So the 3 different aromas are going to be presented inside each vehicle. So not only the actual vehicle, the car seats, the seatbelt is branded, but there's also a sampling product where they can actually take the aroma with them. And as most digital ad platforms today, while we do live in out of home and on the streets, the digital nature is in everything that we do and very data centric. So first and foremost, through our product, the in-car tablets, through the cameras, we've developed a machine learning product that allows us to detect presence. Most ad platforms today do see ad waste. Even Google, for example, today will say that around 50% of their ad spend is actually going to waste and never even has the opportunity to be seen. So by adding this machine learning product, we're essentially eliminating ad waste completely. And that also allows us, for the first time ever in an out-of-home campaign, segment both by gender and by age. Also, we do have a product called Ola Intelligence. Ola Intelligence is a market report that we send out on a month-to-month basis. We have particular reports on car manufacturing, on Christmas sales, on sort of like the Boxing Day events, that kind of thing, the streaming wars, sports events. And these reports, first and foremost, they began as a commercial tool to get in front of new advertisers. There was a mistake, I think, in my eyes that, for example, car manufacturers believed that the rideshare passenger didn't have a car at home. And so we started rolling out these reports to really get in front of these car manufacturers and let them know that on average, each individual that gets into the vehicle has 2.1 vehicles at home. So they began as sort of a tool to get in front of advertisers that we weren't able to cater to at one point. But now they've sort of, it's a research tool that a lot of agencies are working with today. And they also allow for brand lift reports. So when a campaign is running, a Netflix campaign is running on our platform, we're able to run brand lift. So essentially, the individuals inside our screens are responding directly when we can get up north of 4,000 different survey answers answered in about a week. Our commercial activity is coming from 6 main Big 6 media buying agencies. These agencies today, they have the majority of the budgets for these big blue chip brands. And these are sort of the share of where our main advertisers are coming from, Coca-Cola being our main advertiser. And we continue to really develop these relationships, not only in Mexico City, but also in every city where we're developing our product today in the country, as well as on a regional front. We're going to continue to grow. Right now we're hitting around 50% revenue year-over-year growth. And this also allows us these same relationships that we have with the Coca-Cola, with the Netflix, with the Walmart, et cetera. These day-to-day conversations that we're having in Mexico City also allow us to have discussions on a regional basis. The majority of regional media buyers are located today in Mexico City or in Miami. So what that allows us to do is go back to the same media buying agencies that we're working with today, which it's also important to mention, it becomes sort of a moat for us. These media buying agencies were we were the first media partner to work with interactive touchscreens inside of Ubers. So if any other player that decides to come up with a product and start catering to these same clients, they essentially close those doors and say, we already have a supplier for that, and continue working with us. Naturally, as traction has continued to grow in Mexico, we have been looking for opportunities outside of the country. And these are the main markets we're looking at today. Latin America presents an interesting conversation for us. We have heard the question of why not go to the US, why not come to Canada? I think while in Canada it's a little bit further behind than the US, in the US, for example, there's a lot of competition, operating costs are higher. So right now in the region, we feel like Latin America is cheaper, we have first mover advantage, and we also have 5 of the fastest growing digital ad markets, or the 10 digital ad markets in Latin America. By that point, another question that comes about is the amount of vehicles. We don't see the amount of vehicles being a bottleneck by any means. We have almost 2 million vehicles in the region. So, the opportunity is there, and we're going to continue to looking at opportunities outside of Mexico.
As David mentioned briefly, and we're going to be getting into the financials moving forward, but just as a quick side note, up until now, with the current product offering and the current operations that we've gone through right now, we're reaching practically a break even by the end of this year. These final months of the year are break even and cash flow positive. So we feel we're at a point right now where the business model at a local level and with our core products has been highly validated. And we've begun to set our sights now on what are those either opportunities of expansion or those alternate business units that we can also add into our current portfolio of offering in a way that generates stackable revenue moving forward, that generates cost efficiencies moving forward, and in unison, those two drives a lot of enterprise value growth down the road. So we're going to focus on three of those right now. First and foremost, our expansion to Latin America. Second, a new product that leverages electric vehicle charging stations. And third, a retail media product a little bit more prepared for the medium term. First and foremost, our expansion to Latin America. This is already well underway in terms of the planning and strategy phase. We have partnered and just recently signed an LOI with Autonomy, which is an Argentinian-based rideshare vehicle financing company. So traditionally speaking, in Argentina, there hasn't been large amount of access to credit for individuals. What this company does is offer 0-kilometer vehicles for rideshare drivers in order to take up rideshare as their primary source of income generation. What's interesting in this model, and something we've always dreamed of from day one, driver payouts is part of our business model where it's our primary expense on a month-to-month basis, is paying drivers to be able to get access to their vehicle based on the activity they generate. We've always hypothesized of what would this business model look like if we didn't have a driver payout. What we have with Autonomy is a partner that sees the long-term value of this play, that has a novel product offering to their drivers in a case where they don't believe that driver payout is necessary to add value to those drivers. And we're going to be initiating in this market without a driver payout that generates far leaner economics with plus 80% gross margins. We expect this development not only to fall in line in Argentina, but also to grow throughout 2026. They have markets such as Chile, Paraguay, and Peru in their sights in the short term. And we expect this expansion and this region to generate roughly 20% of our revenue over the course of the next 3 years. Second, those who are familiar with the story may have heard already the name Vemo. Vemo is an exclusive partner of ours. They are building out the infrastructure for sustainable mobility throughout the Latin American region with heavy roots in the Mexican market. One thing that they're doing right now, initially they were focused on financing vehicles similar to Autonomy, but electric vehicles in the Mexican market. Right now they're opening up their electric vehicle charging stations to the public. What that means is today they already have roughly 100,000 clients on a monthly basis that use their chargers to charge their electric vehicles, which has seen enormous velocity of adoption over the course of the past few years. And what we're looking to do here is leverage their units. This is one of the charging stations that they do have deployed with a large screen. And we're going to be entering a revenue share agreement with them where we are continuing to monetize these screens, but in a very lean manner for us where all the CapEx, all the permits, and all that infrastructure development and deployment is taken care of by Vemo, and we're able to focus on what we do best, which is sell mobility media advertising. And then lastly, and this is a little bit more focused on the medium term, we are looking to develop this product throughout 2026 with initial launch estimated by the end of the year. Something that, again, we've been looking at is how do we leverage our current technology, which is the core offering that we have, in a way that allows us to scale in a more asset-light manner. One thing that's clear in the Mexican market is that establishments are facing high financial as well as legal risks in terms of streaming, be it video or audio content that they're not licensing in a legal manner. So what we're looking to do here is offer free, fully licensed, ad-supported video and audio streaming for businesses in a way where we no longer have that driver payout of our current model, but we're simply able to offer them this added value in terms of content and risk mitigation. Secondly, we no longer need to invest in data connectivity because we're able to leverage their Wi-Fi. And lastly, we're able to take advantage of their media assets, be it their screens, in order to save on that hardware expense as well. So we see enormous scalability potential here. Retail media is one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing segment in the media buying industry today. And we expect this over the course of the first 3 years of operation to generate a minimum of 25% of contribution to our revenue. What all this story lines up with is creating a new age media company that moves with the modern consumer. It's about finding new touch points where we can get in contact with the on-the-go consumer through media assets that currently aren't being taken advantage of. So think about it, be it someone's in transit, someone's at a rest stop, someone's at a point of sale, we're able to have one of these media assets impacting the clients throughout that mobility journey. Now, focusing a little bit on the immediate term here and what's down the pipeline, one of the things that has us very interested leading into 2026 is the FIFA World Cup, Mexico being one of the host countries, 3 host cities that we currently have operations with. This is big for numerous reasons. Oh, my bad. First and foremost, the country is expecting approximately 5 million tourists to enter Mexico during this stage. Secondly, the World Cup and soccer in general is lived a little bit more passionately in Mexico than perhaps in Canada. What that means is that a lot of the brands not only are looking to get themselves in front of consumers at a time that consumption is high, but also the fact that we're currently looking at right now a boost of approximately 30% of ad spend that's expected by the industry throughout 2026. So it's not about necessarily the official sponsors that are getting behind the national team or the World Cup in general, but it's about all the brands that are looking to empathize with that Mexican consumer and saying, we support the national team. And a lot of those investments and those strategies are kicking off now, but at the latest, beginning 2026. What that's been able to do for us now, and just a few asterisks here as well, we're very strategically well positioned to take advantage and capitalize on this World Cup fury during the next year by simple nature. FIFA is limiting the exposure of non-official advertisers within a 5-kilometer radius of official World Cup venues, be it a stadium, be it a fan fest, and so on. Given the fact that we have a mobile nature to our platform and given the fact that we have screens within the vehicles, we're not impacted by this regulation, which gives us a leg up in being able to get brands closer to the fan and to the stadium by kind of taking advantage of that loophole. That's opened up a lot of doors for us. Caliente, not necessarily a name I expect all of you to be familiar with, but it's Mexico's leading sports betting company and #1 advertiser, even beyond Coca-Cola Group. And for whatever reason, we hadn't been able to convert them. But recently, given our World Cup offering, we just closed off an annual campaign, kicking off now and ending just after the World Cup with a value of over 400,000 Canadian dollars. Secondly, BYD, not directly tied to World Cup messaging, but our World Cup offering arose their interest as well. We just closed an annual campaign with them with a value of over 750,000 Canadian dollars, as well as others, and we expect that to continue maturing in the short term. So a lot of heavy expectations placed on the World Cup over the next year. Now, quick look at financials. We are, again, very well positioned today. We feel very confident about the work we've done with our core business products, business offerings up until now. We're going to be closing off this year with roughly $4 million in revenue, practically break even on an annual basis by the end of the year. Gross margins looking at next year of over 70%, which is a testament to the resiliency of this business model, even in tough macroeconomic and socio-political times, that we've been able to offer over 40-50% growth in revenue on a year-over-year basis, and a very clear path to sustained profitability moving forward. So we're looking at next year somewhere between 17 to 20% net margins, and that's going to continue stacking over time when we look at 2027, close to $11 million in revenue, and 3 million of those which are going to be net income. Now, just to close off here, this is a quick look at our capital structure today. Roughly 30 million shares issued and outstanding today, common shares. On a fully diluted basis, that number rises to 37.5. We do have sights set here, and I know a lot of the existing shareholders have been waiting for that IPO or go public event over the course of the past few months and years. We do finally have our sights set on a target IPO date somewhere in H1 of 2026. Likely the way the dates are stacking up now, it's going to be sometime between April and May of next year. Bridging us to that point, we are opening up a pre-IPO financing of a minimum of 1 million Canadian dollars. Very simple terms of 25% discount on the IPO valuation and the IPO terms, with a 12% coupon that's accrued and convertible upon the IPO event. A lot of that capital is going to be used first and foremost to cover all those transactions and listing fees, but also to continue executing on these medium-term catalysts and growth strategies that we have in place. We want to make sure that we grow our screen network prior to the World Cup to be able to take on all the incremental demand that we're expecting. And we want to have our feet set already in Argentina, and with our first campaigns having been run on our EV charging media network. So a lot of this capital is going to be deployed there. Main point of summary here is we're not raising funds to kind of fill in a hole of cash burn that we've had over the course of the past few months. We're looking at raising growth capital to continue generating a stronger story moving forward and deliver more value for all our stakeholders. So having said that, I want to thank you all for your time.